Awesome. Hi, y'all. I'm Dr. Lauren Chase with Climbing Hills Counseling, and I am here with Alex Stark, who is a burnout coach. And Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself first, if that's okay.
Yeah, hey Lauren, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I am an executive burnout coach and a licensed psychotherapist working with high achieving women who are struggling with professional burnout, high functioning anxiety, and just generally feeling overwhelmed and burnt out with work and life and try to help them restore some of their balance.
Awesome. I am Dr. Lauren Chase. I'm owner of Climbing Hills Counseling, where I work with high achieving women and supporting them and becoming their best self. So, me and Alex here, we have a lot of really great overlap in our clientele that we serve. So, we're really excited to have this discussion and talk about coaching and counseling and high achieving women and how they need extra support and what's going on in their world. Um, so I know we started off with our intro question here about that high achieving women often look like they have everything together on the outside. But for you, Alex, like what are some hidden struggles you see behind the scenes with the women that you work with?
I see a lot of this, and I would assume that you do too, is there's just this very like private exhaustion behind this public success. So
Hmm.
from forward facing, these women just they have it all together, right? They're running
Hmm.
companies, they're leading teams, they're coaching the soccer team, everything's
Yeah,
they're volunteering, they're showing up
yeah.
everywhere, they're on socials, like and everything, everybody assumes that they're fine
Hmm.
because they're competent and they've like got it together. But then behind the scenes, I see a lot of overwhelm and just they're overextended and they're struggling and they kind of have this narrative like, why is it so hard if I'm doing everything right?
Hmm.
So I see a lot of like white knuckle privately, like we're just gonna pull through, we're gonna push through, we're gonna, a
Yeah,
lot of times these high achieving women, which I'm sure you see too, they're not falling apart publicly, they're doing it
yeah.
internally.
Mhm.
And that kind of I see. Is that kind of what you're seeing too?
Yeah, very similarly to that. I also see oftentimes when clients are coming to me for counseling, there's some big event that's happened. Did they yell at their kids? Did they have a fight with their partner? Did they have a breakdown at work? So there's usually like one big major event that has usually happened that has become more public and that they feel this like finally sudden need of like, I need to get support. I need to get help with this. I can't keep going the way that I'm going.
Yes, agreed, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why do you feel like so many high achieving women feel like they're falling, even though objectively they're successful?
Mhm, mhm. Um, I feel like the big kind of broader reason would be that they keep moving that goalpost.
Hmm.
So like the promotion comes and now we need to prove that we deserved it. And then the business
Hmm.
grows and then now the pressure doubles. So I feel like a lot of high achieving women are, that their worth is very much tied to their performance. So
Yeah.
success doesn't feel like they've arrived. It feels then like now
Hmm.
there's more responsibility to not mess it up and to get bigger and better and best and continue to provide themselves with that external value
Yeah.
from all these things that they're doing. So even though they're very successful kind of on paper and maybe with salaries or business cards, they kind of live in this perpetual, like, I haven't done enough yet. Not yet, not yet,
Hmm.
not, I can't settle down yet. I can't breathe yet. I can't slow down yet. And it's just kind of like
Yeah.
moving goalposts forever.
I definitely resonate with that and see that a lot with the women that I work with too, of like, nothing's ever enough. There's always a goal, there's always a thing that they want to reach. And then once they reach it, it's never enough. And I think there's that piece of like, how can we be okay with good enough and be satisfied with where we're at and be okay with slowing down and taking a breath and being present in the moment and not always being so future focused. This was actually one of the reasons why I went to training for EMDR because I went through EMDR myself, which is a trauma treatment modality, but it really focuses on being present in the moment and not always being super goal oriented, but being just in the moment and noticing
Mhm.
and observing and not being insanely like goal directed of like this is our goal by the end of the session, like being in our body, which I think is so hard for a lot of high achieving women, is just being present. What do I notice
So hard.
at the moment?
That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
That's yes, I totally agree. I think it's hard to be internal with yourself when you're dealing with all this external. It's also a very big distraction from actually listening to your body.
Yeah. Yeah, and trusting yourself and trusting your gut and saying, hey,
Mhm.
my body's telling me I need to rest. Okay, so I'm gonna rest and being okay with that.
Yeah, we ignore that reflex, right? That's your body being like,
Yeah.
okay, we're tired, okay, like we're thirsty, we're hungry, let's do these things. And then we just kind of continue to ignore and
Hmm.
pull through. And then we just, that reflex isn't as prominent as it once was.
Yeah, absolutely. What is a belief about like success or productivity that a lot of the women you work with really need to unlearn?
I would say the kind of glorification of exhaustion that
Hmm.
if you're tired, that's just what you signed up for. I mean, you're a mom and you're a professional, so this is it. This is what it looks like. And like if you're not tired enough, then you're not doing it right. You'll hear like even in just casual conversation, with women friends, like how you doing? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm so I've got so much going on. And then the other mom says, oh my gosh, yes, me too, or the other woman. So I just kind of feel like it's like proof of commitment. Like if you're tired and you're exhausted, then okay, like that's good. Then that means you're providing your value. So it's, but when really we know that that's a sign of poor boundaries and burnout and
Hmm.
exhaustion. So sustainable really success is not going to come from running yourself to the ground. It's going to come more from protecting your energy. And I like to think that time and energy are our most precious resources. And
Hmm.
so our energy is like a business asset. That's why I always say like
Yeah.
foundational wellness, like sleep, eating, moving your body, drinking
Yeah.
water, protecting your peace. Like that has to come first before you can do anything else well.
Yeah. Like that basic functioning of just like your
Mhm,
basic needs.
yes.
And I
Yes,
think we forget
exactly.
that so easily
Mhm.
of like, I need to eat, I need to sleep. And it's like one of the first questions I ask clients all the time. I'm like, how's your eating? How's your
Mhm.
sleeping? Like, are you getting out and seeing sunlight? Like I always joke, we're like really complicated plants, and we need our sunlight, we need our water, and making small subtle shifts such as shifting your bedtime to 30 minutes earlier, stopping screen time 30 minutes earlier, having a ginormous glass of water, by your side
Yes,
and
I
making
love
sure
that.
it's full. Yeah, like making those subtle shifts, I think is such a huge difference. And it is self-care. It
Agree.
is taking care of
Agree.
yourself to do those small things that will help you feel better at the
Yes,
end of the
I
day.
agree. Even my little kids, they call that like my emotional support water bottle because
Yep.
it's always with me. And and too, I think
Yeah.
sometimes, people come into session, whether it be coaching or
Mm,
therapy, to thinking they think that you're gonna get down to it and you're gonna give them some, out of this wild advice. And it's just like, well, what did you eat for lunch yesterday?
mhm.
And they'll say, lunch. I mean, I haven't eaten lunch in 2 years. I'm too busy. I'm Peter, I can't eat lunch. Okay, well, let's start there. Let's start with implementing lunch.
Yeah. Starting basic, I feel like is
Mhm.
something that comes up so much of like we feel like we need this complicated, nuanced thing that's going to revolutionize our world. And it's like, let's start with the basics. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you connecting with other people? Just getting back to that basic like functioning and like exploring that before getting into like some of the deeper stuff is so, so
Agreed.
important with my clients because I'm like, what is self-care? Do you know what self-care is? And like, do you know how to
Mhm.
implement it? And is your self-care always productive? Because something I notice about a lot of clients is like it has to feel productive to them. And sometimes binge watching a show on Netflix is self-care, and that's
Right,
okay.
exactly, exactly right, exactly right.
Yeah,
Completely agreed.
yeah, absolutely. What is a boundary that could dramatically reduce someone's stress, but most women that you see that you work with are scared to set?
I would say, and I would bet that you see this too, not being immediately available to everyone.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Saying
there's
no.
this, yes, this big, huge pressure and guilt
Yeah.
and people pleasing and lack of boundaries that sometimes many high achieving women feel they have to respond instantly. And that's to
Mm-hmm.
everything in their lives. Excuse me, emails, text messages, favors, requests, birthday party invites for their kids, Slacks, notifications on social media. I mean, we're just constantly getting bombarded with all of these things that
Yeah.
typically require some kind of action and then
Yeah.
that need to kind of being accessible, being constantly accessible, it trains people. that your time is unlimited. So if you're the one that's
Mm-hmm.
always responding first and you're always that one that's like getting it off my plate and I'm getting it out
Yeah,
there, responding to this person and that person, then they say, well, that's the expectation. Like your time must
yeah,
not be valuable and it must be unlimited because you're always the first one to sign up to bring, something to your kid's class party and then you're also doing 50,000 other things. So I like to think that like just no is a complete sentence. I'll get back
hmm,
to you tomorrow. Not responding. And I think we've also really glorified the like sense of urgency, this like urgency culture that like everything is
yep.
an emergency.
Everything,
Everything.
everything's an emergency.
Everything's an emergency. Like I need you right
Yeah,
away. Like I got a voicemail that call me back right away. You might be able to lower your car insurance, payment every month. And it's like that just isn't an emergency. So like sometimes
yeah,
we'll define like what does urgent mean in your personal life and
hmm,
you redefine urgency and you use that universal language and that sometimes helps with setting that like just that little powerful boundary
yeah.
like it can't be accessible to everyone. Do you see that a lot in your practice?
I do. And I ask my clients like this simple question, like, do you actually want to do this? Is this
Mhm.
something you actually genuinely want to do? And like really getting back to that basic question, is that something that you want to do? A book that I often recommend to clients is Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Tawwab. She has a accompanying workbook that is fabulous. And I recommend it to clients all the time because I think we don't realize what our boundaries are until someone infringes upon them. And then we have to kind of circle back and be like, okay, how do I set that boundary and explain to them now? But let's be proactive and explore like what are potential things that might be a boundary for me and might be really important. And how do I communicate that to other people in a way that feels comfortable and confident and authentic to who I am?
To use the equation of like identify the boundary, verbalize the boundary to the other people, because you
Hmm.
can't get mad at them if they're not accepting your boundary, if they don't know what your boundary
Yeah,
is, and then
yeah,
hold strong, like 3 steps, which sounds a lot easier than sometimes it is, but
yeah, absolutely. What do you see that burnout looks like before someone crashes? Like, do you see any warning signs often in your clients that you work with?
oh, definitely. I see a lot of like irritability, kind of cloudy decision making, just feeling like numb, not connected
Hmm.
to friends, family, partners, work. But then at the same time, feeling like they can't shut their brain off, like laying in bed, so exhausted but can't sleep. Everything is like annoying. Everything's just like, ugh, I can't
Hmm.
stand, whatever.
Yeah,
Yelling at the kids, I hear a lot, just like kind of snapping. So, going into a job that they used to absolutely love and then just feeling flat, feeling like they don't love
yeah.
it. Um, just kind of walking away from the things that were once providing happiness and joy, and just kind of feeling disconnected. What about you?
Just kind Yeah, I would say pretty similar. I see a lot in my clients. I always say it kind of looks like a little bit of depression, just like
Hmm.
that lack of motivation, that inability to do those things they once enjoyed. I also describe it as like feeling stuck, feeling like you're on freeze mode, of just frozen. Like you can't get anything done. Everything's piling up and you just feel stuck. And it just keeps piling on and piling on. And so I always say, like, if you're feeling stuck, then you're about to crash. And then all of a sudden, it feels like the rug is pulled out from underneath you. So that's kind of a lot of what I see is just like this frozen feeling of like feel like I'm about to get swallowed up by the floor.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's big. It's a heavy feeling. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's very heavy.
yeah, definitely. If there was like one message that you wanted high achieving women listening today, that are dealing with burnout and might need support from a burnout coach, what would you tell them?
I would say that burnout is not a personal weakness.
Hmm.
It's information, it's signals, it's many, many ignored signals, and finally your body is telling you that your life is just unsustainable, and that just deserves a little bit of attention, not guilt or shame. And it usually doesn't mean these big catastrophic things that people sometimes think that it means, like moving states or quitting their job or finding a new partner. It really just means a little bit of a different approach of how you approach your life and your personal life, your work life, and how you kind of set your new standard for your nervous system.
Wonderful. Yeah, I would definitely say I think for my high achieving women that are feeling overwhelmed and burnout, I always like to tell them it's okay to pivot. if what you've been doing in the past had been working, you can always pivot and do something different, no
Mhm.
matter what.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And again, I'm Dr. Lauren Chase with Climbing Hills Counseling. I see women in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida for mental health counseling.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Bye.